It's 8:30 p.m. You've just finished dinner, maybe pasta, maybe rice, something warm and satisfying. You're about to settle into the couch, but your blood sugar, it's climbing. That spike, that sharp rise in glucose after a meal, happens to almost everyone. And for decades, we thought there wasn't much we could do about it. We were wrong. Today, we're talking about one of the simplest, most underrated tools for metabolic health, and it takes just 10 minutes. Here's what caught my attention. A 2025 study published in Scientific Reports found something remarkable. 10 minutes of walking, just 10, immediately after eating changed everything. Not 30 minutes, not an hour of exercise. 10 minutes. And the effect on blood sugar? It rivaled what some people get from medication. But the science behind why this works, that's where things get interesting. Your muscles, it turns out, become glucose sponges when you move. And the timing, that's the key nobody talks about. Let's back up for a second. Every time you eat, especially carbohydrates, your body breaks them down into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream and your blood sugar rises. In a healthy system, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin is like a key. It unlocks your cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy. The system works beautifully most of the time. But here's the problem. When blood sugar spikes too high too often, your cells start ignoring insulin's signal. They become resistant. The key still fits, but the lock stops turning. This is insulin resistance, and it's at the root of type 2 diabetes, weight gain that won't budge, and a cascade of metabolic problems that affect millions of people worldwide. So the question researchers have been asking for years, is there a way to manage those post-meal spikes before they cause damage, without medication, without complicated interventions? The answer, it turns out, was always right in front of us. It was in something your grandparents did naturally, taking a walk after dinner. In 2025, researchers published a study in Scientific Reports that put this idea to a rigorous test. They gave participants a glucose solution, essentially a controlled blood sugar spike. Then they had one group walk for just 10 minutes immediately after. The other group stayed seated. The difference in peak glucose levels was significant. The walkers' blood sugar didn't spike as high. Their glucose curves were flatter, more controlled, and all it took was 10 minutes of easy walking, nothing intense. The study authors concluded that a 10-minute walk immediately after meals could become a widely applicable strategy to effectively suppress postprandial hyperglycemia. The fruisinkuwoten line mekiji uisham fruisham 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 fruisham. But here's what makes this research even more compelling. It's not just one study. A systematic review published in the Journal of Sports Sciences analyzed multiple trials on this exact question. That meta-analysis confirmed something crucial. Timing matters more than duration. The optimal window for post-meal walking is within the first 30 minutes after eating. Wait too long, say 90 minutes or 2 hours, and you've missed the window. The glucose has already spiked and started to come down on its own. But catch it in that early window, 0 to 29 minutes after your last bite, and your muscles can intercept that glucose before it peaks. This brings us to the cellular mechanism. It's called GLUT4, glucose transporter type 4, and understanding it explains why this simple intervention works so well. GLUT4 transporters are proteins embedded in your muscle cells. Think of them as tiny doors that allow glucose to pass from your bloodstream into your muscles. Normally, these doors stay closed inside the cell. When insulin arrives after you eat, it signals these transporters to move to the cell's surface and open up. But here's where it gets fascinating. According to UCLA Health researchers, muscle contraction itself will start glucose uptake without relying on insulin. Let me say that again because it's important. When you contract your muscles, when you walk, when you move, your cells open those GLUT4 doors independently of insulin. Your muscles become glucose sponges. They absorb sugar from your bloodstream through a completely different pathway, one that doesn't require your pancreas to work overtime. This is huge for anyone with insulin resistance or prediabetes. It means there's a backup system, a way to get glucose out of your blood even when insulin isn't working efficiently. The Cleveland Clinic has noted something even more encouraging. Even 2 to 5 minutes of walking after eating produces measurable effects on blood sugar levels. 2 to 5 minutes. That's barely enough time to walk to the end of your block and back. Yet your body registers it. Your muscles activate those transporters. Of course, 10 minutes is better. The research consistently shows that longer walks produce stronger effects, but the barrier to entry is remarkably low. A 2018 study found that the beneficial effects of post-meal walking extended through a 60 to 90-minute window after eating. Your metabolism stays responsive. This isn't about burning calories. A 10-minute easy walk burns maybe 30 to 50 calories. That's not why it works. It works because movement triggers a cascade of cellular responses. Your muscles demand fuel. Your circulation increases, delivering that glucose where it's needed. The glucose that would have spiked in your bloodstream, potentially damaging blood vessels, feeding inflammation, instead gets put to work, used immediately. Now, I want to be honest about the limitations here. Most of these studies were conducted under controlled conditions, specific glucose loads, timed precisely. Real meals are messier. A bowl of pasta with protein and fat digests differently than a pure glucose drink. Individual variation matters too. Some people spike more than others, and there's ongoing debate about whether glucose spikes even matter for healthy people. Some researchers argue that the body handles occasional spikes just fine. That's a fair point. But the consensus emerging from metabolic research suggests that flatter glucose curves over years and decades correlate with better long-term outcomes. Here's something practical to consider. The research suggests that dinner may be the most important meal to focus on. Evening glucose management tends to be more challenging. Your body's insulin sensitivity decreases as the day goes on. That same meal eaten at dinner can spike your blood sugar higher than if you'd eaten it at lunch. So if you're going to walk after just one meal per day, make it dinner. That's when your metabolism could use the most help. Now let's talk practical application, because research means nothing if you can't actually do it. The first thing to consider, this doesn't need to feel like exercise. You're not training for a marathon. You're taking a stroll. Easy pace, comfortable shoes, maybe some music or a podcast. The intensity should be pleasant. One approach that works for many people. Set a small alarm or reminder. 20 minutes after you sit down to eat, your phone buzzes. That's your cue. If you're eating with family, consider making it a group activity. A post-dinner walk becomes connection time, not just health homework. Kids especially benefit from the movement. Live in a climate where evening walks aren't always possible. You might consider indoor alternatives, walking in place, pacing while on a phone call. Even light housework keeps those muscles engaged. And here's something to remember. Consistency beats perfection. Missing one evening walk doesn't undo anything. The habit matters more than any single session. Some people find it helpful to pair this with other blood sugar strategies. Eating protein and vegetables before carbohydrates. That's been shown to flatten glucose curves too. But walking is the one intervention that requires no meal planning, no special foods, no supplements, just movement, and evidence suggests it may help regardless of what you ate. I want to share one more finding that surprised me. The 2023 meta-analysis found that standing alone, without walking, also had some effect on post-meal glucose. Walking was significantly more effective, but even the act of being upright after eating, rather than immediately sitting or lying down, provided some benefit. So on nights when a walk truly isn't possible, consider at least staying on your feet for 15 or 20 minutes. Do the dishes standing up, tidy the kitchen. It's not nothing. Now I do want to add an important caveat. If you have diabetes or take blood sugar medication, please talk to your doctor before making changes to your routine. The combination of medication and exercise can sometimes cause blood sugar to drop too low. Your healthcare provider can help you find the right balance for your situation. For everyone else, and that's most people, the evidence points to a simple truth. Movement after eating helps your body process glucose more effectively. Period. And if you found this helpful, if you're thinking about trying this yourself, consider hitting subscribe. We explore evidence-based health strategies like this every week. The beautiful thing about this research is how accessible it makes metabolic health. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need special equipment. You need a pair of shoes and 10 minutes. Your grandparents knew this intuitively. The evening constitutional, the after-dinner stroll. It was baked into daily life before we had cars and screens and excuses. Science is just catching up to what generations before us practiced naturally. Sometimes the oldest advice turns out to be the best advice, with data to back it up. So here's my suggestion for you. Tonight after dinner, try it. Just once. Set a timer for 10 minutes and walk around the block, through your home, wherever works. Pay attention to how you feel. Many people notice they feel less sluggish afterward, less of that post-meal heaviness. That's your glucose finding a better home. And if it works for you, if you feel better, sleep better, have more stable energy, consider making it a habit. One small change, every day, compounding over time. That's the power of understanding the science behind simple interventions. You're not just walking because someone told you to. You know why it works. You know what's happening in your cells. Your muscles are opening doors for glucose. Your metabolism is responding to movement the way it was designed to. You're working with your body, not against it. And remember, this isn't medical advice. It's information to discuss with your doctor, to experiment with, to see what works for your unique body. You're in charge of this experiment. 10 minutes, one meal at a time. That's not a diet. That's not a program. It's just a walk. And sometimes, the simplest solutions are the ones that stick. Remember, this content is for informational purposes only and consult your doctor.